All right, well, today what we got is my Abu Garcia. It's a trophy collection carp master, and you get a couple different versions. Striper master trophy. It's just 6,500. It's probably, I think I got this thing when I was like 16 years old, about 30 now. So had them around. They've been around for a long time. They caught a lot of fish, and I normally try to regularly tear these things down, and I've been slack. And it's time to clean it and check drag washers. I got these off eBay. I'll put the eBay. I'll put those in the description below. And I just did one just to kind of see how it was going to do, and it did really well. And the drag's much smoother. So we're going to tear this thing down, clean it up, oil it up, and put the new drag washers in. So to start off with, you're going to need a flat screwdriver, and there's 3 bolts around here that you're going to have to loosen up. And I've already tore this thing apart one time, and because of camera difficulty, I had to put it all back together and do it again. So they're already a little bit loose, but sometimes you'll have to put a little oomph to get them loose. But whenever you tighten them back up, you want to get them good and snug, but you don't want to torque them too tight. So, but if you don't get them tight enough, they'll work their way loose, and then that can mess your gears up on the inside. So that brings this side of the reel off, and spool comes right out. Set those to the side, and now what we got to do is take the handle off. So there's a screw right here, straight. Take that loose, and it's a little bitty, so you got to be careful not to lose them. And then this retaining washer right here comes off, and this is a, oh, it's right there, a 10 millimeter. I'll loosen that up, take that off, and now there is a retaining clip right here. I can get it to, yeah, right there. So these can be a little bit of a booger. Normally hold down one side and use a screwdriver to push the other side. Gotta just kind of work it a little bit. It'll eventually come off. There's probably a tool for this, but I don't have one. So got that off of there. And it's just tiny little C-clip here. So now the handle just pulls right off. There's a washer under here, and I think there may be supposed to be 2. I don't remember. I may have lost one somewhere along the way throughout the years, but this one's got one. So now this star, you're just going to spin all the way off, and it takes quite a bit of spinning. But the main goal is to get these things cleaned up, because there's a lot of grit and sand. See, I've already cleaned this side completely because I thought we were recording, and it did, but I changed the format messing around with my camera, and it was a bad idea. So I've already got this side cleaned up. Now we're going to take the spool tensioner off, and there's 2 screws right here. You use straight or Phillips. Good thing about Abu Garcia, they make them pretty easy to tear them down. So take these out. Really, you should do this. If you use the reels a lot, you should do it every year. But you know, we don't all do that. So as you can see, I've cleaned it in here too, but this side I haven't cleaned yet, and you can see all the gum and grit and junk in there. So now there are 2 washers that go right in here. Make sure you keep track of those. So, and there's a bearing in there. I've already cleaned this side up, but I didn't get it on video. So we're going to go ahead. What I'm using is a little bit of carb cleaner, because I want to get the Carbontex for drag washers. You can run them dry, or you can run them oiled. Everything I've read, dry is the way to go. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. So, and then this is a little bushing that comes off. And then now that comes off of the spline there, like so. And now I'm gonna just kind of spray. I want to go crazy. You just get a little bit to break the old grease down. Get it all cleaned up. This definitely got a lot of grit in there. Sand and dirt and Lord knows what. These things rolled all over the country, just about. North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia. Had them down Georgia. They've been everywhere. So there's a lot of different states inside these reels. But just gonna try to get everything good and clean. And then I'm gonna grease and oil everything up. So you can take this apart, that slides off there. I'm not gonna mess with it because it can be a little bit of a pain to get all put back together just so. And it looks pretty clean in there, really. So we've got that good and cleaned up. So what we've got to do now is take apart our drag system here and get this thing centered. So this slides apart like so. This is your main gear. You've got one washer right here, and these little, I don't think Abu Garcia is really known for their drag systems at all. So got that off. Gonna get a clean towel and spray a little bit of carbon choke cleaner, and that'll help to break down and clean up some of the old gunk and oil. Get all the oil off of there. So, and I just want to make sure I get all the oil off because I want to run these, try these out dry for a little while and see how they do. So any oil will kind of ruin that little experiment for me. I'll try to get it really good and clean. Some people, I've read some people will oil them, but I've also read from one of the manufacturers that makes these things, oil will pretty much, you'll lose your drag system. And that was, I think, one of the main issues I had was I re-oiled the stock drag washers and pretty much lost all my drag. So, but I mean, before that they were sticking horrible. So it's definitely time to do a little something. Get these things nice and going again. So now I've got to take all this apart. I'm gonna lay it out like it goes together, top, next one down. This thing's gonna be a bit of a booger to get out. Next one, washer. And then now, so these things consist of 3, these almost look like rubber washers, and then 3 metal washers, but also between the main gear and whatever this is here, there's also another washer, and in the kit there's one that is smaller. And when I first did the last one, I had to kind of go through and figure out which one was which, because it's not really a whole lot smaller. You'd think it would be pretty defined like these are here, but it is oversized. It's bigger than that one, so you got to kind of look through the kit and make sure you get the right one to start off with. But I'm just going to go through and clean all these up, get all the oil off of the washers and the backs of the gears and everything, and get it good and dry, and then we're going to put it all back together. Alright, so I got everything cleaned up, got the washers, the main gear, little spindle here all cleaned up, and now I'm gonna oil a little bit thinner, but should do the trick. It may not last quite as long, but should be good. Just wiping the excess off here, and under this little plastic piece here there is a bearing, and it is a sealed bearing, I do believe, but I always squirt a little bit of oil in there just to make sure. So there's that, and then on the inside of the housing right down in here, I always put a little oil right there where the reel shaft goes in. So I'll slide that in there, line it up, put it in the little hole on the other side. And now that's good to go. So we're gonna build our, get a clean paper towel here, clean my hands a little bit, get the grease off. I don't want it on the new washers. So we're gonna build the drag system here. Got our washers, and of course one sticking inside. This is what editing's for. All right, so the small one, as you can see, it comes with 4, and the smaller one here goes first. And you want to be kind of careful sliding them. They are a little bit of a tight fit. They may break, so just kind of gently work it down on there. So we got that one. Now goes our main gear, and then one of the larger washers is right down in there like so. And then now there's 3 different washers here, and one that's just flat with the centers that's a little bit off, one that has the ears, and one that is kind of concaved. So this one goes first, and now another washer, and then now for this one, and gotta kind of get it lined up. There's 2 little slots here that the little nipples go in, like so. The last washer and the concaved, you can see it's got a little raised part that goes on like so. Whoop. Goes on last. So now ready to put it all back together. So now, and the bearing right here, I'm going to take a little bit of white lithium grease, just a very, very small amount, and put on that bearing. Kind of get it in there just to get a little bit of grease in there. I don't want a ton, a little bit will help. So, and now we've got to put their little bushing. And I'm not going to put any grease under the bushing because that's just going to seep down into the drag. So now it goes on just like so. And now we have our star washers, and these are concaved. If you can see, they're concaved, and they both go like this, and you want them to go together this way, not this way. So put those in there like so, where they are making a U towards each other. I've read that it doesn't really matter, but I think that's the way it's supposed to go. We're gonna go ahead and put our star drag on. And what I like to do is just hold that gear in there with my hand while I'm putting this on, or else it's just gonna spin freely. And I already did this once, but if you put the 2 pieces back together, then you cannot turn this because you have no way to hold the star. So there's, so I'm going to take just a little bit of the white lithium grease and put on this main gear. I don't want this gear to wear out. I've already had one of these reels. I had 4 of them at one time, and one of these main gears wore out. I need to order a new one. And also this little center gear here, I get a little bit of grease on it as well on both sides. Don't want to put too much because it will seep into the drag system. So now pretty much the way to tell is the free spool there. Line the free spool up with the screw. Put our 2 screws back in here and put this piece back together. Start a little bit by hand there and get them cross threaded. And you'll get these pretty good and snug. You don't want to strip them by any means, but you don't want your reel coming apart whenever you got a big fish on. So now we got that. Snug them down. Alright. Now put our dirt in there. Put our retaining clip, little C-clip on the shaft. comes through. These can be about as hard to get on as they are to get off. Normally it's a little bit easier to get them on. Oh Lord, that wasn't good. Now your nut goes on. So you want to just line that up, and then this screw goes in here like so. Amazing. Alright, so now got that part together, got the handle back on, and just slide the shaft in like so. And that'll only go in one way. Now all we got to do is tighten these up. And get these pretty good and snug, or else the reel will kind of come apart and work itself apart. So you want to torque these down pretty good. One more here. And there we go. Now I'm going to take some grease here on the level line. Work that in. Keep those greased up because there's a little paw in there that runs it. And if you don't keep them greased up, they'll wear out really quick. That's never good right in the middle of fishing. So there we go. Nope, I forgot the little spool tensioner here. That's pretty much it. So I will I'm gonna do a review on these whenever I get a chance to use them a little bit, and I'll post it on Instagram. Alright, so this is one of my other reels. This is a 6600, or no, just 6000C, and the level wind on this one, I just greased it up, and as you can see, it's sticking. So this happens a lot, it seems like, whenever you go through these and grease them up, because for whatever reason, getting that extra lubrication in there, if it's worn down and time to replace it, then it just kind of seems to fail instantaneously. So how you replace these, there's a screw right here, and you just take that off, a little cap, unscrew that cap there, and there's a little paw gear right here, and gotta pull that out. There we go, give it a little twist. Let me clean that up so you can see what it looks like. But this is probably the most common thing you've got to replace on these round reels, or these little paws. And it's just kind of a little wire that rides in that groove, and they need to be replaced every once in a while. So to replace it, you do the same thing. I don't have a new one on me right now. They are in my wife's car from where we went to the beach. I always carry some just in case. So you just pretty much reinsert it, and then you've got to kind of line it back up. So there we go. You just kind of put a little pressure on it, wind the reel, and then reinstall the cap, and that's all there is to it. And so just kind of wanted to show you that. That's probably what I've run into the most with these reels. So appreciate everybody watching. Hope you liked the video. Hope it helped somebody out. And if you haven't, please subscribe. If you have, thank you so much. Take care. Bye.